more than 1,000 respondents in this poll, so 59% of Londoners are in favour, and as part of that, there's more than 50% support amongst the voters for the four main political parties. So that's 70% of Labour voters in favour and 51% of Conservative voters. And also, as you said, across the age groups. It's surprisingly not just young people who are interested. So normally when people talk about this, they say, oh, it's something to engage young people with. But we have 70% of 25 to 39-year-olds in favour, and also 50% of over 60s in favour as well.
And this is one of the reasons you say it's going to be a positive thing is voter turnout, and that's a massive issue for general elections, but also looking ahead to the mayoral elections. And indeed, over the years, they've never reached a 50% turnout.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the average voter turnout in London mayoral elections is 39%, so it's incredibly poor, especially when you look at the sort of turnouts they expect for union ballots that they've introduced recently at 50%. Something needs to be done to boost that turnout beyond 50% ideally, and get some legitimacy for our London mayoralty.
And as I said, it was a massive talking point ahead of the general election. However, if you are going to introduce online voting, what kind of safeguards could there be as well to make sure it's all going to be democratic, there's no fraud? I mean, there's just this week you're seeing how hackers can hack very easily into, multinational massive websites. So indeed, how can you safeguard to make sure that doesn't happen when it comes to voting?
So this will absolutely be the biggest challenge for online voting, is securing it. And the first step is to invest in pilots to look at the technology, and there are lots of companies and universities who are researching this, who have come up with secure methods of voting online, things that get around malware on people's computers, for example. As you mentioned earlier, one of the headlines on the newspaper was they've created a bionic eye to cure blindness. I seriously question whether it's insurmountable to overcome the online security aspect of online voting.
And what about other safe measures in that? OK, so you can definitely could be a good thing for the elderly and those who might find it difficult to getting out to polling stations, like those living with a disability. But then at the same time, how can you ensure that the vulnerable and even everyday people, they're not voting according to maybe what someone's telling them to do, they can watch over them. Whereas when you go into a polling booth, you can tell someone one thing, you go in there and do something completely different. It really is something which is something you can guard that vote, if that makes sense, with a polling booth.
So that risk is already occurring in postal voting, so you can have people looking over your shoulder when you vote via post. However, some countries such as Estonia have put in a system where you can vote multiple times within your last vote counting, and even if your last vote counts, you can go to a polling station and discount your online vote. So there are methods of getting around the aspects of being pressured into voting, which you actually don't have in postal or proxy voting, for that matter.
And also, it's a good way, you're arguing, to get young people voting, although you did say it's something that many age groups across the board welcomed. But again, something you could do to get young people involved is to teach politics in school. And quite frankly, if somebody can't be bothered to go out, down the road to vote, why should they be taking part?
Yeah, no, I hear this argument a lot, but I do think they should definitely 100% do more political education in schools, get people more interested in the issues. However, I do believe if you make voting more accessible, and especially put it online and market it well with social media, etc., you could definitely boost turnout. It's almost like saying with the post, if you make online communications, will people really send more messages? Of course they will. So it's more about making it more accessible, making it in tune with the way everyone lives the rest of their lives.